Good morning. This is retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, a little Lutheran church in Amherst, New York, on Air Road. We welcome you this morning to our broadcast, the last Sunday of the church year. And, on this last Sunday, the text, as usual, is from Matthew 25, 1 to 13. The last few Sundays of the church year are always about the end times. That's the design of the church year. The church year is divided in two halves. One half from Advent through the resurrection and the Ascension is based in Trinity Sunday, is based on Pentecost, is based on the life of Christ. The other half of the church year that we're just finishing now, the second half, is the church's half. And this is designed around the lives of God's people. And so it ends up with going to heaven. That's the goal of the whole thing, and that's where the church year ends. And the text that's been selected for that, which has been used for a very long time, is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 1 to 13. So, again, this will be, by definition, something about the coming heaven. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go and rather buy and sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said to them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I know you not. Watch yourselves, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Here ends that portion of the gospel text. Again, this gospel text is about something that is yet to happen, something that's coming, the kingdom of heaven. And that's the idea in this text, that there is an end to the way things are. That's the first bit. And the second part of this message this morning is that there is coming, and is not yet here, as Jesus describes it, He basileia ton oranon, the kingdom of the heavens. It's a kingdom that's a bit different than what we have here and now. You see, here and now we live under life, death, sin, grace, forgiveness, and this life is difficult. It's filled with, we've just had record snowfall here in Buffalo and the surrounding counties. Some places got 67, 68 inches or more in a 24-hour period. When some places set records, like Orchard Park, they got, 5-6 feet of snow all of a sudden. And I'm sure the drifts are higher. I can't even imagine trying to shovel out from that. We here in town of Tonawanda, we only got a foot, maybe half a foot one night, and then this morning we got maybe another 10 inches. Not bad at all, really, for living in Buffalo, although it is only November. Of course, we had an October storm that buried us for 10 days, so living in Buffalo, you can expect almost anything. And we do. We're ready. That's how we live here in Buffalo. But, so Jesus tells this story, and it's a weird little story. Did I mention that? It's weird. It's weird because it's all backwards. You see, in Jesus' day among the Jews, and it had been that way for thousands of years, the Jewish men are commanded to marry. That's part of the Torah, part of the written law. And in the Mishnah, the oral law, that is side by side with the Torah, the written law, the oral law not only dictates that the man should marry, but at 14 years, 6 months, and a day, roughly, although they count time a bit differently than we do, in months and days, but still, the idea is that early on, a young man could be thinking of marriage. But the thing of it is, in their culture and by their laws and rules, you would have co-wives. So a man would have, depending on his financial abilities and job and work and things like that, he would have several wives, because basically the woman lived under an umbrella. Her father first, and then her husband, and then if he died, then her husband's brother, because it was then suggested or mandated, not really mandated, but strong suggestion, let's say, that a brother marry his dead brother's wives. And there are several stories like this in the New and the Old Testament where this happens. So in this story, Jesus tells us is about a wedding, but it's weird because, okay, a guy already has, let's say, 4 or 5 wives, and maybe a couple wives from his brother, and they all have their own tents and their kids and their goats and etc. And now he wants to marry another woman, and so he doesn't pick up everything and go to her house. That doesn't even make sense. That's not how they did it. Obviously, the wedding would be at either at someplace, a hall of some kind, or at the groom's house. And so this is a strange text from Matthew 25 verses 1 to 13 that Jesus would tell it this way, because the bridegroom wouldn't be late in coming anywhere because he wasn't going anywhere. He's already at his own house. It was the bride and her entourage that would be arriving, and actually would have already been there. They're not going to be arriving at night anyways. Nothing happens at night. It's a daytime event. So just everything in the little story is backwards. So Jesus is trying to get their attention that he's not talking about a wedding. He's not talking about how and when the bridegroom arrives, because he's not. And the bride and her entourage would have already been at the bridegroom's place. So that whole thing is nonsense. But what is he talking about then? Well, he tells you right at the very beginning. He's talking about a kingdom, he basileia, the kingdom that's different. And he says ton oranon, from oranos, the heavens, what we would just euphemistically call the kingdom of heaven, as though it exists in the clouds. It doesn't. In fact, this is something yet to come, even though there already is a kingdom of heaven. But our idea of heaven is yet to be created, in fact, because it'll be created from this present earth, this present world. And so that's why when he says that be likened unto, omoithesetai in the Greek, it's third person singular, future indicative passive. It's future because it hasn't been yet unveiled. It hasn't been revealed, made known. But he's saying it's like this kingdom that's coming, because it's in the future. It'll be similar, it'll be resembling something unusual. And the emphasis of the little story he tells is not about someone coming or going, it's about being ready. These people who filled the oil in the lamps, which is kind of funny because these are not big Coleman lanterns. These are not, they where they had the old style lanterns where they took thorium sulfate and dipped a very fragile wick in that, let it to dry, and then when you applied heat to it, it would glow very brightly. That's how these lanterns used to work. Not their lanterns in the Hebrew days. These were just oil. Whatever kind of oil they had available, cheap oil. You're not going to burn the best oil. It's not like temple oil from the first pressing of the olives, the first drops that fall from the first pressing. That would be temple oil. But this is just the common, cheapest oil that a woman might find in the marketplace, so that she would have something to literally burn. You're not going to be cooking with it, although you could use something cooking oil that had been old or already used up, strain it out and be used fine for the lamp. But it's about being ready. And that's the idea in this text, to be ready. And so that's actually not doorbell. That's my wife's phone. It does that. So anyways, the idea of being ready is what Jesus is talking about. And it's why would the emphasis of what he has to tell us about this coming kingdom matter in the sense of being ready? Why would he pick that as something to tell us about? Because obviously there's millions of questions we would have about what heaven would be like. Instead, the one thing he tells us about is being ready. And in the metaphoric sense, or the use of a figure of speech of those who would trying to light up the pathway in the evening. Why being ready matters. Well, because you see, this life, as I began the sermon, is filled with all sorts of crazy stuff, good things, bad things. But what is in everything, doesn't matter what it is that this is a broken world with broken people. The laws of thermodynamics simply state that junk goes downhill. If you want a layman's quick appreciation of the laws of thermodynamics, it's easy. Junk goes downhill. You cut an apple in half, it doesn't look better the next day. It's all brown and shriveled up. You set a block of ice out in the sun, it melts and then evaporates. I mean, things just peter out, wear out, fall apart. If you've grown old, all you have to do is look in the mirror. And you don't have the body you had when you were 17. Why? Because you're growing old and wearing out. If you've been living in your house for a while, you know that every fall you got to get up there and clean out the gutters with something, whether you have an extension vacuum arm or a blower or whatever you use. Hopefully you don't climb up on a ladder. Don't do that. Or just hire someone to clean up the gutters. There's people who do it for you for reasonable costs. But, I mean, everything from gutters to roofs to drains to plumbing to electrical, everything wears out. And it's not just wearing out. I mean, that's bad enough. It's the problem behind it is just that this is not a perfect world. It would be nice if it were. Wouldn't it be wonderful? But it's not. And so not only is everything wearing out, including ourselves, but there's the bigger problem. And it's this problem that exists between us and this other being. That's all I can really call them. Some people want to use the word God. Okay, that's just the word dog spelled backwards. And I know what a dog is, but I've not walked into a God recently, so I don't know what one is. You can use Hebrew words. You can call them El Shaddai, Adonai. I mean, there's all kinds of words: Lord, Master, the powerful one, or you can say in Greek, Kyrios, Lord, or Theos, God, or whatever you want to call him. The thing is, he's a being that is different than ourselves. He's not like us in that he just is, and can be and is to be whatever he wants to be. There's no descriptors we even have of him. Some philosophers of the 16th century like to say, well, he's omnipotent, he's omniscient, he's all these nonsense omnis. If you know anything about your language and your ability to speak, there's the positive, the comparative, and the superlative. You can say, that's pretty. You can say, that's prettier, or that's the prettiest. But you can't say that's all pretty. That we don't. That's not a language. That's not a thing. That's not even part of what we speak. It's all these omnis that the theologians came up with to describe God are just nothing but word salad, nonsense, baloney, pile of dumpster fire, garbage. They are meaningless because our minds only have the positive, the comparative, and the superlative. Pretty, prettier, prettiest. We don't have all pretty, or all knowing, or all powerful, or any of those words. Those are nonsense words. None of them have any meaning to our brain. We just use them because we don't know what else to say about this being. But what can we say? Well, Jesus says, be ready. What? If we can't even describe him, what? How you be ready? Well, there's the thing of it. Jesus says, look, let me tell you some things about him. He's kind. He prefers to have mercy. He takes no delight in the death of the wicked. He doesn't like to pounce. He likes to hug. He doesn't like to blame. He likes to forgive. And to do that, he sent his son Jesus into the world. And here's some math I don't understand, because you know what? I'm not this being. But whatever it is that you and I are, however messed up we actually are, that being messed up, I don't care if you want to call it broken or sinful or amartelos in the Greek or whatever, deserving thanatos, this Greek for death, or mut, Hebrew for death. Whatever it is we are and whatever it is we deserve, God looked at that and said, that's not what I want. That's what they've made themselves. I don't want that. What I want is my kids. I made them to be my kids, to love them, to have them live with me forever in a kingdom. I don't want to even use the word place. Kingdom's weird. We don't live in kingdoms, I guess, unless maybe if you live in Saudi Arabia or they have kingdoms there. That's fine. I mean, just a form of government. Who cares? Every people can, live with whatever government they prefer. And if you want to call yourself a country or a kingdom or a province or a duchy, whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter what you call your place. But there's this kingdom that God is going to make for us. And it will fit us, for he and his children to live, to dwell, to eat, to walk. In fact, the Greek word for resurrection is anastasis. Ana, again, is stami, to get up and walk around on your legs and feet. And so this kingdom that he's going to make us, this basileia in Greek, in this particular text here, is going to be suitable. And the important thing for us here and now is not to have a good description of it, but instead is to be ready for it. And how so? And that's simply to pistoeo, to believe, to trust, peitho. Because the word to believe or faith comes from trust. To be convinced of something, peitho. Pistoeo comes from peitho. If you look it up in your Greek lexicon, you'll discover that. Peitho is to be convinced of something. To be convinced of what? That God likes us. That God has decided to forgive us. That God has decided that he wants us to live with him, and he's the one who will take care of it. Because we can't do thing one about it. We really can't. I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm not even sure how to fix my car. I look at it with this dumb look on my face and go, well, time to call AAA, have it towed over to Honda. They'll fix it because they know what makes it work. That's their thing. It's not my thing. So even as I don't have a clue what those boxes are in the the engine compartment, I even understand less about this basileia ton oranon, the kingdom of the heavens. No idea, but it doesn't matter. Don't have to know, because whoever this being that made us, that made everything, that likes us, that's been working on this project for, in our terms, billions of years. To him, it's just a blink of an eye, snap of the fingers. And however it is, whatever it is that he's done by sending his son to die in our place, to rise again, we'll rise again, to live with him in this kingdom that he's going to make for us. And I say in the future because it's this world, but he's going to remake it. He's going to remake it suitable for his kids to live with him forever. How cool is that? And what do we have to do to earn this? What do we have to do to be ready? Nada, nothing, zippo, zilch, zero. Who's it for? Everyone. Who did Jesus die on the cross for? Everyone. Whose sins are forgiven? Everyone's. When did this happen? When you first were convinced of it, believe it? No. It happened when he did it. It's finished. It's a completed thing. It's over. And again, who's it for? Everyone. Who? Everyone. Exceptions? None. Who's it for? Everyone. That's the only Christian message I'm aware of. And if you run into Christians who have say, well, it's not really for you because you're not like me. You're not like us. Run away from that nonsense. They're not bright. They can't read the Greek or Hebrew. I mean, whatever they got, it isn't Christianity. It's something, but I don't know what it is. The message here is, who did he do this for? Everyone. Is it finished? Yes, it's done. What do we have to do to add anything to it? Nada, nothing. Just to be convinced that he would love us in such an amazing way. Is there one person, any person on earth that understands it? No. I don't even know what sin is. I've been doing this job for 38 years. I've been retired for 3 years. I don't know what sin is. What is it that makes his being so angry that the only remedy is that he would kill his son? If you can answer me that, well, then you're a whole lot smarter than I am. But after all my years and all my studies, I don't know. And even less do I understand his love toward us, what he has done for us. And so there's no way you can go, well, it's not for you, it's not for you. It's already done for you, us all. That's the beauty. That's the only message the church has. It's easy. God loves you. God has forgiven you in his son Jesus. He wants you as his child. You are already his child. He made you. How do you think you got here? And he's going to bring you home. Well, again, this has been retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, a little Lutheran church in Amherst, New York, outside of Buffalo in the Northeast, a corner out there. Hope you have a good day. If you're where snow is, if you're in the Buffalo area, you'll be shoveling today. And be careful, don't overdo it. A couple people already died from heart attacks shoveling and blowing snow. So just be careful. Go in and out. Warm up. Drink some hot soup or coffee or something. Warm yourself up before you go back out there. Or better yet, just hire someone. There are people walking around with shovels that'll, for a few bucks, will shovel out your place. Or you can hire a contractor with the heavy equipment to do it. I guess if you're in downtown or Buffalo or South Towns, you'll need heavy equipment, hydraulics probably. I don't even think a plow truck has a chance or a ghost of a hope. I think you need pretty heavy equipment. I know someplace got the National Guard helping out. So be careful. COVID's nearly at an end. The stupidity of not getting shots is pretty much over. Get your booster shots and get your regular shots for COVID and for the flu season. Some people are still getting sick from the old-fashioned flu, the regular colds. So get your shots for that too, and help each other out. If you know someone in the storm places that can't get their medicine or needs food or just needs help shoveling their door out, well, give them a hand. Find some way to help them. Again, this has been retired Pastor Karl Schmidt, Calvary Lutheran Church. Take care. Bye-bye.